Enjoy drinking tea, and perhaps you're looking to take that experience to the next level, or maybe even some gifts for somebody who does enjoy drinking tea even though you don't. Stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to be telling you about a few of my favorite tools that I use to brew loose tea leaves. Konnichiwa, my name is Pat Tokuyama. If we haven't met before, I'm the founder of the Japanese Cooking Club and this YouTube channel, All Day I Eat Like a Shark, where I help people learn how to make plant-based Japanese food. Subscribe if you'd like to see more plant-based Japanese cooking videos, unlike the one that we're doing today. Tea is a very important part of my life, and in fact I drink it multiple times a day, sometimes different types of tea, caffeinated, non-caffeinated, sometimes herbal teas, and there's several reasons why. One of which is going to be the flavor. Of course, tea tastes good, otherwise I probably wouldn't drink it as much as I do. Second thing is going to be that it's a good palate cleanser, especially if you're drinking it during a meal, as opposed to just drinking straight water. And then the third thing, of course, are the health benefits. So those are some of my reasons for drinking tea. I'd be curious what your reasons are. Let me know in the comments below. For me, tea is like happiness in a cup. It gives me the opportunity to pause, to reflect on something important or something that I've been thinking about. It's also a good way to take a break if you need one. And it's also a good way to get a little bit of stimulation without the jitteriness that may come from drinking too much espresso. Well, at least that happens to me. I don't know about you guys. And I am sad to say that I've actually never had a high tea experience. If you have been to London or Great Britain, the UK, where that's one of their traditions, I'd be curious if you have any recommendations. I would be interested in hearing about your experiences for my next trip when I'm able to travel over there. Oh yeah, and if there's anything I've learned not to do regarding tea, I will tell you at the very end of the video. I want to stay tuned for that. Can you guess what that could be? Leave me a comment below with your guess. All right, so the first thing that you're going to need is a teapot. If you don't have one already, I would recommend getting one that is glass or ceramic, personal preference of course. They do have iron teapots, which are very heavy, very sturdy, and they'll last probably a lifetime as long as they don't get rusty. I got this Hario teapot last year, and it's got a little wire mesh, a funny looking wire mesh strainer there. You can actually take it out. It's very easy to clean, just like that. And this fits, I don't know, about 3 to 4 cups, Japanese cups. I'm very happy with it. The only thing is, because it's glass and it's thin glass, it can break easily. I like that you can see the tea while it's brewing. And then also, if you really wanted to get like a tea set, you can also get the glass, Hario glass cup set. It comes with the dish. This is something that you can buy together to make it a complete tea set, if that's something that you're going for. The only thing that I would warn you about, aside from this being fragile, is that this can get kind of hot. So you got to be careful if your hands are against or your fingers are against the body of the teapot. It can get uncomfortably hot, so you might want to be careful about that and hold it this way. So if you don't want to get a glass teapot like the Hario that I just showed you, you can get a ceramic one. So this one's from Japan, and it actually has the strainer built in. Not all Japanese teapots have the strainer. It's one less thing that you have to worry about. My old teapot used to have no wire mesh, or no strainer, so you had to buy a wire mesh strainer separately. A chakoshi is what it's called, and you would set it inside and then pour out your tea that way. This is actually available, I think they have it on Amazon, and I'll link that in the description below if you're interested in getting one of these. So I prefer the glass or the clay, the earthenware, as compared to the iron, because they are lighter, easier to handle, and you don't necessarily need to worry about it rusting or breaking something in your sink because it's super heavy. Instead, it may break itself. So if you already have a teapot and you are looking for something new, something different, something that you may be interested in is a cold brewer. So this is a Hario cold brewer. This is for coffee or tea, actually. And basically all you have to do is fill this with water, fill this with tea. I usually use anywhere from 14 to 20 grams, depending on how strong I want it. Fill it up, let the tea leaf soak, put it in the refrigerator overnight, or at least 8 hours, and then you'll have cold brew tea, real cold brew tea. And it tastes different from tea that has been brewed with hot water because of the extraction. Because the extraction takes place slower and at a lower temperature, the tea is going to be a lot more mellow. It's going to be a little bit more mild and less acidic. If you are sensitive to those aspects, you may want to try doing a cold brew tea. The good thing about this device is that it can also be used for coffee. This is another Hario teapot. This one I was going to make mugicha, which is what that is, in case you're wondering. So I usually just throw that in there. That's a mugicha, which is roasted barley tea. And I usually just fill it up, let this sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then I'll have cold mugicha. Or if I wanted something hot, I will brew it in my teapot instead. So that is how you do Mizudashi using the Hario Mizudashi. So if you aren't keen on glass, totally cool. There is an alternative for you. This is the French press, Frieling French press. It's made of stainless steel. And this is 22 ounces in capacity. And you can also use this to do either cold brew tea or hot tea. If you don't want to get a teapot, you could use this for that. And you can also use this for coffee. It's stainless. It's easy to clean. The wire mesh comes off, and you can scrub it with soap and water in case you have tea leaves or coffee grinds stuck in there. And I don't need to worry about it breaking because it's stainless. And the other thing that's good about this is that it's double walled, vacuum sealed, so it holds the temperature pretty stable. So now that we got our brewing devices out of the way, the third thing that you're going to want to consider getting is a electric hot water pot. So this is a Zojirushi that I've had here for a few years now. This is a 4-liter vacuum model, and this is what I use to have hot water at the push of a button. It's very convenient, especially because I drink tea multiple times a day, like I mentioned. And there's different temperatures that you can adjust it to depending on what you're using it for. If you're using it for a nicer tea, you can lower the temperature, for example. Higher quality teas are usually brewed at a lower temperature, in case you didn't know, at least Japanese high quality teas. That can be useful if that's something that you need to do, as opposed to fussing with the heat on the stove and boiling water or an electric kettle or gas kettle. You can just have this ready to go whenever you need it. If you have a teapot and you also have a cold brewer and you also have a hot water dispenser, then you're pretty much set. All you need is some good quality tea. And if you want precision, what you could also get is a scale to weigh your tea leaves, as well as a Pyrex or a measuring cup to measure the exact amount of water that you're using, and a thermometer if you need one, if you don't have one of these. That way you can have the same exact type of brew or concentration and extraction time, all of which is going to affect the final flavor in your cup. Probably 99% of the time, I'm usually just dumping the tea in with some hot water and letting it brew. Unless I'm using a nicer quality tea, like I mentioned, I'll be a little bit more deliberate in the amount of water I use, the temperature of the water that I'm using, as well as the duration of the extraction. So bonus tip is to try different types of tea. So as you may know, most tea comes from the plant Camellia sinensis, which is the tea plant. It's cultivated all around the world. There's also herbal teas. So some of my favorites include guayusa. Actually, it's spelled guayusa, but I think it's pronounced guayusa. And it's a tea that I found on one of my trips to Ecuador in the rainforest. It's a very potent tea. I was told by my tour guide that it was very fuerte. And despite hearing that, I drank a bunch, or actually I already drank a bunch, and I wasn't able to sleep because it has a bunch of caffeine and other stuff in it. But you are able to get it on Amazon. In addition, some of my other favorite teas include yerba mate, as well as coca tea, if you can get it. Coca tea is another interesting tea if you've never had that. It's from the coca plant, as well as cacao. Cacao is the husks that are left over from making chocolate, or cacao nibs that are used to make chocolate, with which you can make tea. And it kind of tastes like chocolate, very subtle, very delicious. And another way that you can enjoy a tea that is not made with the Camellia sinensis or tea plant. And if you're looking for, I guess those are all slightly caffeinated teas. There's another one called cascara, which is made from the coffee bean husk left over from making coffee. So if you didn't know, coffee beans, they usually have like an outer layer with which that's removed during the coffee production process, and you can actually make that into a tea. And it actually kind of tastes like berries if you've never had it before. Certain coffee bean suppliers online may sell that if you are interested. And some of my favorite non-caffeinated teas include chamomile, which is good for calming yourself, maybe if you're trying to go to sleep or having difficulty sleeping. Ginger tea with a little bit of honey or a little bit of lemon. Rooibos, which is an African tea. And one of my favorites, hibiscus. Did I miss any? Let me know in the comments below if I missed one of your favorite teas. I'd be curious. I'm always interested in trying new things, especially tea. So maybe there's something that I have not tried yet. So now that you know several of my favorite ways to brew loose tea leaves, you may never want to buy bottled tea again. Unless you're in Japan, then you may want to. I know I do, at least because it's convenient. especially in the summer when it's very hot. But usually when I'm at home in the US, I'm brewing my tea with loose leaves using my teapots, my French press, and/or my Hario Mizudashi pots. And though I primarily enjoy my tea without additives like sugar, dairy, sweeteners, or other things that might alter the flavor, I know some people do. What about you? How do you like to enjoy your tea? And would you be interested in learning how to eat tea in perhaps some baked goods, maybe even some Japanese style desserts? Green tea ice cream, green tea cookies, for example. Would you be interested? If you are, then you can check out the link in the description for some of my favorite Japanese tea desserts. So there you have several of my favorite ways to brew tea. I was curious, do you think that the cup that you used to drink your tea affects the ultimate flavor that you experience, or at least your perception? So here are some of my cups. This is a frog cup. This is a Domokun cup. Domokun is a Japanese cartoon character, which you may have seen before. I also have a Murakami cup here. He's a famous Japanese artist, as well as a lion cup. I got some of these on my trips to Japan. And then some more traditional tea cups. I think this is my grandmother's, and on the smaller size, of course. Or more of a modern mug, some of my mugs which you can get in the shop if you're interested. Do you think drinking tea out of each of these different cups is going to affect the flavor of the tea or the coffee that you're drinking? Let me know in the comments right now. And the reason I ask is, doesn't champagne or wine taste different if you're drinking out of a champagne glass or a wine glass as compared to maybe a red cup, like if you did that in college, or a plastic cup, or a foam cup, or a paper cup? I don't know, it could just be me. Let me know in the comments, and we'll see what other people think. And if you'd be curious about 15 of my best tips for making your Japanese tea the perfect cup of tea, check out the video right here. Or maybe we can even learn or talk about how to make the next cup of coffee that you brew one of your best ever. Really. Did you know that I roast my own coffee? And let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this by leaving me a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already for more plant-based Japanese cooking videos, and potentially videos like this one. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me any comments if you have any feedback. And share this video with anybody you think would get some value out of it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. And then another one here. This is a Kyusu style. Oh, no. That's what I get for being careless. That really just happened. Anyways, we will continue. I need to get a replacement lid now.